What's up, everybody? My name is Scott Waters from No Lot to Metal, and this is Trog.
Okay, my turn.
Your turn. I think people are going to be surprised that this one's not in either one of our top tens.
Honestly, this is kind of where me and this band started. I just started kind of letting them go their way, and I didn't pay much attention.
And I like this record, but I got to say I was the same way at that point. I was, especially when it came out.
Yeah, it was different.
Iron Maiden,
Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. Definitely a different looking cover.
Yeah, it's all blue, icy looking.
Yeah, it looks more like Power Slave, the kind of color scheme that they chose. And I remember the first single off here was Can I Play With Madness?
Yep.
Good tune.
And that's where you can, this is the album where I really think you can hear Iron Maiden being influenced by that whole 80s hair sound.
Although I think it started with Somewhere in Time.
Yep.
It definitely started there. They were it was the same thing that Priest did. They were using those guitar synths kind of thing, and it just was changing the sound. And I mean, if you're a band that has any kind of history, you got to kind of roll with what's going on to a certain extent, just to survive. But it's definitely a strong album. I mean, I don't think you could ever say Maiden put out a weak album.
Not in the 80s.
But I mean, they're always just very quality releases. This isn't crap. This is
I know
probably the biggest metal band in the world.
And I know a lot of people, this is their favorite Iron Maiden album.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who think that's their favorite Iron Maiden album. See, for me, I started with the Paul Di'Anno era.
Oh yeah, I started from the beginning.
So it was Iron Maiden and Killers, and then Number of the Beast came out, and I was like, jaw hit the floor. This singer's awesome.
And then Number of the Beast came out. Right. I had just heard Made in Japan. I had only just heard them, and that's like all of a sudden, boom, they got this brand new thing.
And then Peace of Mind came out, and I was just a Maiden maniac, and that still is one of my favorite albums. And
me too.
I think a lot of it depends. If this is the album you were introduced to him by, I can understand why it's your favorite. It is a very good album.
This is where you started. It's like if you started with the Black Album by Metallica.
Right.
And people, that's like, bar none, that's their favorite. But I mean, we were listening to them back in the beginning, so it's a total different thing. It's just, but again, that's what's great about music. Different entry points and different appreciation for different styles.
Different experiences.
Do it. I don't care. Love Justin Bieber and love Rihanna and all that stuff.
Don't love Justin Bieber.
You know what I'm saying? If that's what you're into, be into it. Whatever. I might make fun of you, but that's part of the fun.
Anyhow, it is a solid metal record.
It is. It is.
Oh wait, a hard rock record. Sorry.
Hard rock, yeah, because metal didn't exist until 2005.
Right. You want to hear? I mean, this is rabbit trail, but I actually had someone tell me, talking about that subject, which for some odd reason, I guess it's because I do these videos. I get that subject coming at me a lot, especially on like Facebook. So some kid in his early 20s actually told me that if it's not as heavy as Slayer, it can't be metal. It's just hard rock.
Whatever. Whatever, kid. But kids know everything, just like we did, right?
Oh, yeah. All right, next up.
Except we know more, because it's not that we're old. Your music really does suck.
Yeah. This is a second album from New York City band Nuclear Assault. Again, when it comes to thrash metal, there's almost like two schools of thrash metal. There's, like I said, the more metal side and the one that leans more towards the punk and hardcore side. With Nuclear Assault, definitely leans a little more towards the punky side. That's got
definitely
kind of that yelped out vocals. They're kind of
Danny Loker, Anthrax previous bass player, huge hardcore fan.
And
huge.
His voice is just
very unique voice. You always know when it's him.
Yep.
He's definitely. I agree.
It's John Connolly, right? Yeah.
Yep.
And great guitar solos. I mean, this was such a great band.
I like.
And then of course you got drummer Glenn Evans, who had been formerly in TT Quick.
TT Quick, yeah.
Played on their first EP. So yeah, this is just great stuff.
And who was the other guitar player?
I forget his name.
He's the guy that I don't know.
Anthony Vermonte.
Okay.
Anthony Vermonte.
So lead singer, also guitar player.
Anthony Vermonte was the lead guitar player. John Connolly was vocalist and
rhythm guitar.
And I think he probably did leads too. But anyhow,
like the Metallica lineup. Kind
of.
It's
like I said, a little more towards the hardcore end of things, or the punk end of things.
And Danny Local was in SOD, so I mean,
yeah,
come on, that's his roots.
Brutal Truth, and
Big
Danny
time.
Local, he was in all kinds of different bands. But anyhow, great album. Again, one that neither one of us had on vinyl, so that's how we're showing the CD.
I don't have this one at all. I think I just have the demos, and I have what was the first album called? Game Over.
Yeah. See, I was a huge CD collector in the early '90s. I mean, that's what I started doing. I kind of stopped buying records in the '90s, and then
I did too.
so this is actually an original pressing from 1988. So.
And it's on IRS.
Yep, IRS Metal.
Which was very much an alternative type of label.
Oh yeah, that's why they made sure to say IRS Metal.
Yep.
I don't think the skull was in the original logo.
No,
was
I
it?
don't think so
Yeah.
either. But, I mean, Sabbath's Headless Cross was on IRS.
Yep.
So it's definitely...
Probably their most signature song is also on this album, Brainwashed. Everybody knows Brainwashed by Nuclear Assault. I mean, if you're into that style at all. Except for Randy, he doesn't know.
I loved Game Over in the demos. Totally loved them. And I just, like I said, '88, I was playing metal, so I wasn't paying as much attention to all of it. You know?
You're up.
Oh, it's my turn?
Yep.
All right. Okay. Yeah, so I was... Should I tell the story I told earlier about this?
Go ahead.
I don't know. Okay, so my first exposure to this, Stryper, In God We Trust. I already had Soldiers Under Command. I think that was the only one I had, because I think I was still in high school, and I was like, I want to check out this Stryper band.
Yes.
I raised Catholic. I, didn't have anything against the whole thing, so I was like, I'll check Stryper out. I liked them. Definitely a different thing. And then I remember when this came out, I was in DT Seizure. I was just not much interested in anything that they had to say, and I saw it, and this is the era of the televangelist, so all that stuff was kind of looked at with a dim view, and I saw the covers like, oh yeah, Stryper, In God We Trust, yeah, you go ahead and you do your money thing, blah 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 blah, just being a total dick about it. Now I think it's cool. I mean, it's a good follow-up to Hell with the Devil. Oh, I had that one too. Loved that one. And then this one's a little more slick.
It's a lot more slick.
Okay,
See,
a lot.
my experience is a little different than yours. I went into a record store in the mall, and I was looking for something different, and somebody told me to check out Stryper. So I go in and I grab the record, and I'm with my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, and she's like, "Is that a Jesus band?" I'm like, "I think it is."
Is that one of them Jesus bands?
But I was a brand new. I had just become a Christian in 1988, so I was like, "I think it is." So we went up to the counter.
So this is the first one you ever heard?
No. This was I bought Soldiers Under Command in '87. I had just become a Christian in '87. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
So I bought Soldiers Under Command, and I went up to the counter and I gave him the Soldiers Under Command record, and the guy said, "Oh, you're gonna love this. This is a great metal record." And I'm like, "Oh, cool." My wife goes, "Well, what kind of music do you like?" He goes, "Oh, I like everything from the Monkees to Metallica." She's like, "All right, that's what sounds like it's right up your alley then." He's like, "Yeah."
Love the Monkees.
It's just trying to say, he liked a wide variety of music. But he said Metallica, and that was, '87, so it was
Safe bet.
87, 86, somewhere in that area. I don't know, whatever year that album came out. And I bought the album at home, and I heard the song Surrender, and I was like, yeah, this is killer. I love this. And then In God We Trust came out. Then Tell the Devil came out, and I
bought To Hell with the Devil because of the cover alone. I was like, that cover is the best!
Yeah. And I love that record too. So I was a big fan of the band when this one came out. So that's why I came from a different perspective than you did.
And they're definitely they're in the thick of the pretty boy hair metal haze, and I mean, Robert Sweet is the sexiest man alive. Why has he never been on People magazine? Look at that, he's like Farrah Fawcett.
That's why I call it. That shot right there, Farrah Fawcett Sweet. Yep. Yeah.
Oh man.
The other guys look all right.
But I mean, the hair is huge.
Huge. Well,
it's like before the hair was long and the music's loud and clear. Now the hair is huge, and In God We Trust.
Yeah. But yeah, it is a very slick record.
Yeah.
Man, can I say it for a second? As a matter of fact, there's a couple songs that because they had a hit with Honestly. So of course, that being a huge hit for them.
Totally.
So you've got how many? Lonely.
Keep the Fire Burning was a cool tune.
Yeah. The Rain is a great song.
Yeah.
So is In God We Trust, which they re-recorded later. They shouldn't have, but they did.
Yeah, the original was fine the way it was.
Always There For You.
That was a good album.
Keep the Fire Burning. I Believe in You. That was another one of those. They were really good at the sappy ballads.
Because it had the double meaning. It could be you're singing to a woman, you're singing to God. So it appealed to a wider audience.
Yep. Matter of fact, it had to be. What year did they get married? 89. Yeah, because Stryper was my Together as One was my wedding song.
Oh, I was gonna say, Stryper was your were your groomsmen.
You know what? I'm working right now with Retroactive Records to release the old Rapture demos, a band from the 80s in Albuquerque, and that's Paul Scozzafava from Musketeers.
Yes.
And he had, so I've been going back and forth, and I got all these old photos that I'm putting in there, and he's got all these photos of him standing at different Stryper weddings. And
Oh, I thought you were gonna say it was in your wedding.
no, Stryper, he was at their weddings. It's just unusual. I'm like, he's like, oh yeah. He says back then the scene was so small, we all knew each other, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was at anyhow.
Yeah.
Totally set aside, but hey,
That's
that was a
all right.
little plug for Retroactive,
That's
wasn't it?
that's kind of what you guys seem to like when we go off on these rabbit trails. So we're just doing it. We're not even trying anymore.
This record I love. Third album for this band. New singer, straightforward, heavy metal, super great vocals. I loved him. Joe Camus. Yeah,
Okay.
Joe was a singer for this band,
Joe
and
C.
he went on to later on to be with Annihilator. But on here, oh my gosh, you guys! I mean, he puts guys like James Rivera and Rob Halford and those sort of screamers to the test. He's just that good. It's just
I thought you were gonna say to shame. I'm like, he puts Rob
no,
Halford to shame.
he's just up there with them.
I was getting angry.
Nah. And I like the cover too. It's a cool little robot
I remember.
dude.
I remember when they came around. Did they have an EP? The first.
They had 2 albums out before this one.
I remember when the first one came out. I just remembered the name. Don't think I've ever heard them.
It's just galloping, straightforward, heavy metal. Here, I think they were a little more pushing towards the power metal sound of, like Reverend or Metal Church or those sort of bands. So, but yeah, there's just not a bad song on here, and they don't look. And they got the Metallica Ride Lightning shirt on.
Jeans and cut-off T-shirts, basically.
That was, you had 2 schools really in '88, big time. I mean, hair metal had gotten to or what people call hair metal, has gotten to the point of being super glammy.
Oh, totally.
Until
to the point where the year after this one, I was just like, I'm so sick of music. I'm so sick of all of, and I was kind of, that's because it's all I was seeing. You know?
Even Guns N' Roses on Appetite to Destruction, they had the look. I mean,
oh yeah.
So
it was a little more.
They were
gritty
they were almost kind of in the middle. They were like between this and that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyhow, straightforward heavy metal, great album. Metal Blade Records, 1988. There you go.
Do another one.
Do another one. I have a lot more in this pile over here,
Yeah.
just because I do. I don't know. Heretic, Breaking Point. This is the first full-length album for these guys. Brian Corbin, who later went on to form Reverend with Metal Church singer David Wayne, but this was his first full-length album, and the singer on this album would be Mike Howe, who of course went on to sing for Metal Church.
Metal Church.
Yeah. Mike Howe went on to sing for Metal Church, so they basically
Who went on to sing for
vocals.
Loudness? I was going to say Loudness. Was it the guy from Obsession?
Yes, Obsession.
Starts with a V.
Yeah, Rivera.
Viscera?
Viscera, that's it.
James? Mike Viscera?
Mike Viscera, that sounds right, yep.
Okay. I'm sure you'll tell me.
Yep. So Brian Corbin, Dennis O'Hare also went on into Reverend, and I believe, I can't remember if it was one of the other 2 guys also went on into it. It was like 3 of these guys went on to form Reverend with David Wayne. But anyhow, this is very Metal Church-ish. If you like Metal Church with Mike Howe, chances are you're going to like this because it's the same similar style. Brian Corbin is a great guitar player, and these guys are still together now. They actually have released since reforming. They're on their 2nd album, I believe, and they're working on their 3rd album now.
Cool.
And there's the first album they did after getting back together had Glenn Rogers on guitar, who was a riff master. I love Glenn Rogers.
Awesome.
And that album is, I don't know if the contract's been signed yet, so I might be releasing something before it's signed. But yeah, they're going to be releasing that album on vinyl through not Bombworks, through Brutal Planet Records.
Awesome. And these guys were called Heretic because they didn't agree with all the teachings of the Metal Church and they got excommunicated. That's what happened.
Could be. The first full album features
That's a
vocalist
pun.
Mike Howe.
That was a metal pun.
Long a dominating club band on the LA scene, Heretic is ready for the big time
Awesome.
with some new metal that was crafted with the help of producer Kurt Vanderhoof, and that's the
I
reason.
know that guy.
And there you go. Like I said, there's the Metal Church connection there too. And of
Awesome.
course, then Kurt stole their singer.
Incest. incest. It's disgusting.
Third album from this band, one of my all-time favorites.
Okay.
I love this singer, and I love this record. And this is
HELSTAR.
James Rivera. He's like a Dio to me. He's just a little short guy. But he just dominates the stage.
And on
He's
the
just a
first
big
HELSTAR,
presence.
he had a different name.
Yeah, I can't remember what it is now. It was like Joe Smith kind of name, but I can't remember what it is. But
What's wrong with James Rivera? That sounds like a rock star name.
as I recall reading, it was more of a. It was James Rivera was a very Spanish name, and he just wanted a more American.
Sounds Italian to me.
He wanted a more American stage name, and he dropped it after that. So,
Yeah.
But anyhow, just this is before they kind of went more for the thrash speed metal sound. This is more straightforward, like the first couple, Lost Rocket, Lost Rocket
I
records.
was gonna say.
Yeah, exactly. It's that same similar style. This band's out of Texas, though. Yeah, but I love the cover on here. They do a cover of "He's a Woman, She's a Man."
Oh, sweet. Scorpions?
Yeah, Scorpions, great cover
That's
of that
sweet.
song. And like I said, James Rivera, you've heard me rave on about him before.
They have a song called "The Whore of Babylon" too. Awesome. I love the word whore.
Hugely, this I really hear a lot of rainbow influences on this record.
Oh, that's cool.
Like it's like they were listening to Rising a lot when they were writing this record.
Not a bad influence to have.
Yeah, I always thought this woman's hands on the front were a little weird though. Look at
A little witchy.
witchy, yeah,
little
like,
witchy.
like she's like malnourished.
I'm a little skinny. Because, well,
I think they actually.
I think it's the big old nails too that don't help.
Yeah, it's not the greatest album cover. Metal Blade was not known for the best album covers, but
No, not always.
but
But
anyway.
again, 80s metal album covers, some of them are pretty cheeseball.
yeah. But regardless, great album. Your turn.
All right. Oh, yeah.
That's it. That one. There's another one. I'm kind of shocked it didn't make either one of our top 10.
I mean, I loved Voivod, but I got into this one much later. I remember Psychic Vacuum off of Dimension HATROSS being on MTV. It got a lot of airplay, and they were definitely heading more in that progressive direction.
Mm-hmm.
And the album after, Nothing Face, they were full-fledged. These guys are like a prog band now. But this definitely, it still was kind of trailing their noisy, thrashy roots along with those prog
Yeah, it's kind of a
tendencies.
crossover album for them. I always
Totally,
thought it was.
totally. And speaking of, awesome artwork, I mean,
I always liked their stuff.
Michael Langevin Away, their drummer, he's always managed to keep their art presentation so unique. He does everything.
It's their look. Yeah, I mean,
totally. And it's so unique. Nobody looked like this.
right.
Nobody. They weren't. I mean, I was so into the way that they wrote the words on the back that I changed my handwriting so it matched it. I loved it so much. What else was on here? Tribal Convictions was on here. Chaos Mongers. Psychic Vacuum, like I said. Brain Scan. Macro Solutions to Mega Problems. It's a great album.
Yep.
Definitely.
Front to back. It's just not a bad song on it, in my opinion.
Awesome stuff.
I mean, I'm just one of those guys that likes to listen to albums. I'm not in this listening to singles as much, but
It depends what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
if I'm going to listen to a single, it's probably going to be from a genre that I'm typically not into.
yeah.
And I might hear a tune that. All right. I'm gonna say something really embarrassing right now. I have the song "Single Ladies" by Beyonce on my iTunes. I don't like Beyonce, but I saw that video and the song got totally stuck in my head. I'm like, that's kind of a cool song. Yeah, I got a Beyonce song. What are you gonna do about it?
Another band from that whole California scene, Forbidden. This is Forbidden Evil. I always thought this was one of the coolest covers ever.
It's got the two skulls coming at each other. Yeah, that is a pretty cool cover.
It almost defined them, as far as that look goes. But I mean, yeah, even the back.
Was this the first one or second?
This is the first album.
It was.
The name of the album was the band was originally called Forbidden Evil. So
Right.
and then
I mix them up with another band called DBC,
Yeah.
Dead Brain Cells, because they had that same kind of skull that was going at an angle.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a second one crashing into it.
Again, I'd say this is more of this one leans more towards the metal, the speed metal, the not so punky. All thrash metal is a mixture of the speed and intensity of punk
Right.
mixed with metal. I mean,
Yeah.
that's where it really came from. Was those combined? These guys lean more towards the metal side, more melodic, higher, cleaner vocals, although aggressive. Or Russ Anderson. Yeah, Russ Anderson was the vocalist. But I mean, if I was to list my favorite Forbidden album, it would definitely be this one. It's the album I discovered them on. It's just not a song on it I don't love. But Chalice of Blood, awesome song.
Where were they from?
They think of San Francisco.
Francisco.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Francisco. So fun to say.
That's what I was trying to say.
So Bay Area.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep. They were one of the. I guess people call them one of the second tier bands because they came a little later than the first wave. And
well, yeah, it's '88. I mean, the initial Bay Area thing had already happened.
But I mean, thrash was so huge in '87, '88, '89, '90. It didn't really die out until.
I mean, how many bands have spawned, man?
Oh my gosh, tons of bands all over the world.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't. Yeah, it was a huge phenomenon. But anyhow,
I think it was definitely the first backlash to the whole hair glam metal thing. Was thrash was exploded in the wake of it.
There's a couple guys on here you probably would know. Paul, Bostoff, the drummer who also ended up playing in Testament for a while. And if I'm not mistaken, he played in Slayer for a short spell too.
Not sure.
And then we have to look that up. That's going to drive me crazy.
That's all right. Let's do another one.
Yep.
And I can probably say a little bit about this one too.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, not much because I get into this one secondhand. This is another one my bass player Kevin Mack from DT Seizure turned me on to. Fate's Warning. This is what, their 4th album?
That was their 4th album. It was their first with
Brand
a
new
singer.
Yeah. He played it for me. I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, Kev was really into Maiden, and so going to the stuff that was a little more progressive was kind of a natural step for him. It wasn't my cup of tea necessarily, but I definitely appreciate this is a great album. Awesome album.
Terrible cover though. Like I said,
the cover totally blows.
Yeah, I'm not.
I mean, it's recognizable. That's the thing I like about it because I can always picture in my head what it was.
Yeah,
the first Fate's Warning I ever heard.
That, and I've seen worse covers for sure.
Oh, totally. Do I even remember anything on here? Jeez.
But yeah, it's definitely a change in style for 2 reasons. One, the new vocalist didn't sound at all like John Ark, and John Ark had that very unique, high pitched. He was like in the rafters at times,
right.
Just great singer. He really just kind of helped define the band and the sound. Well, the other thing is the band started off kind of like more as an Iron Maiden-ish straightforward metal band, and then with each album they kept getting a little more progressive and a little more progressive. So by this time they were very much a progressive metal band,
and in the same kind of league as Queensryche, really.
Right here. Although after this one, they started veering more, you get even more into the prog rock kind of stuff.
Right.
Now that's all they are. They're just a straightforward prog band.
Right.
But
I didn't even realize they're still together.
Yep, they're still together. They have.
Yeah, so that was my first exposure to them. I also heard stuff off of. Oh God, we just talked about them. I can't even think the name.
Stumbling a little bit here. Anyhow, yeah.
The 2 albums prior, I heard a few cuts on it, like The Sorceress.
Oh yeah.
From Awaken the Guardian.
Awaken the Guardian. That's another great record.
And then what was the one right before that one?
That's
not the first one, but the second and third ones.
The first one was Night on Brocken.
Right.
The second one was Spectre Within.
Thank you, that one. Those 2 I had heard cuts off of.
And I love Spectre Within. That's actually my favorite Fates Warning record.
Is it my turn?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Speaking of Bay Area thrash.
Oh yeah, I remember these guys when they were kids.
They were literally kids.
They were kids.
They were all teenagers, and anyhow, a lot of people will list the first album as their favorite. This is the album I kind of discovered them on, so this has long been one of my favorites from them.
I just saw them a couple years ago.
And the song, I've always loved the song "I'm Bored."
I'm bored. I've got their first 2 demos too. One was Heavy Metal Madness or something like that, and then a second one before that. What was the name of their first album?
Ultraviolence.
Thank you.
Yep.
2 demos prior to that. They were pretty cool. They were a lot younger, so I just remember. I remember being in Record Exchange in Walnut Creek, California, and that was like metal mecca out there in the Bay Area anyway, or one of them. And I remember these little Filipino kids walked in, and you're like, that's Death Angel, and they were just kids at the time, but they had the attention to Metallica and all that stuff, and it was just cool.
Yeah,
it was cool.
They kind of were. They definitely, because they were kids. The first album was just like, look how badass we are. Look how fast we can play. Look how heavy we are. And that was kind of where they went. And then with the second album, they still retained some of that, but you could tell they had. I hate to say the word, but matured.
Oh yeah, totally.
I mean,
the approach was a little bit more
refined
and intelligent.
And the songwriting was a little better. The memorability was a little more there. There was more hooks. And then they got a little silly with a song called "I'm Bored," which is, I mean, it's just I love the song because it's so silly.
Yeah.
It's just, a lot of bands were doing that back then. They put the silly songs.
Oh
But
yeah, like VOIVOD on Dimension HATROSS. The bonus track on the cassette was the Batman theme.
Yeah.
Which was so out of character for VOIVOD.
Right. So it's the same thing here, but anyhow, it's a good album. This is actually the repressing on Metal Blade, and one thing I don't like about some of the new repressings is it was originally a single album. This is a double album, and I hate.
Oh, they remastered it at 45 speed.
No, it's regular 33 speed, but they got so here you go, 2 songs on this side, 3 songs on this.
They did the same thing
So
with
it's like,
the Metallica reissues.
yeah, and that irritates me. You know what? I'd rather that if they wanted to put it on a double album, do that. Make the 4th side blank, and not put 2 songs on every side. That's basically a freaking single.
I mean, I know it's supposed to be better for the sound quality. The less you have on one side of vinyl, the better it's going to sound.
That's what they say. I mean, unless you're an audiophile and you have I don't think you're going to be able to tell the difference. But regardless, great album. Death Angel, a lot of thrash in this one. Which is kind of where I was at the time. I was really into the thrash stuff.
It's just funny. I never really had any of their stuff until a couple of years ago, and I had a dream one night that I bought some. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm gonna go check out some Death Angel.
All right, I'm gonna do another one here.
Yeah, you might as well.
Faith or Fear, Punishment Area. Again,
No idea
straightforward
who
thrash
these
metal.
guys are.
Philadelphia thrash metal band. This is their first album. This was their only album. I could be wrong. They may have then they did a reformation in the 2000s at some point. I don't have that album if they did. I can't even remember if they did or not. Regardless, this is their debut on Combat Records. Records.
Combat.
And I bought this one for like nothing, and it's still sealed. Like it's a big deal.
Well, this is a new record store, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't actually buy old vinyl that's still sealed most of the time because it's warped.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, great album from them. This one is not warped, by the way. Again, thrash metal.
Is it sealed though? Is it still sealed?
It's not still sealed. No.
Oh, okay.
I opened it. I just kept the plastic on there because I like the still sealed sticker.
Okay.
Yeah, then they after this album came out, they played that big show from Philadelphia that became the VHS tape release of, dang it, Ultimate Revenge 2.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say too. Ultimate Revenge.
Ultimate
Yeah.
Revenge 2. They were the opening band on that night that played
Because the initial one was what? Slayer, Venom, and was it Raven? That played Studio 54, right?
I can't remember now.
It was definitely Slayer and Venom.
Yeah, I don't think it was because Raven.
Exodus.
Exodus, yes,
Yeah.
because Raven played on the 2.
Okay.
They were the headlining band.
So maybe there's somewhere in there.
And the funny thing is it was these guys who were opening up, and then Dark Angel, and it was the first appearance of Ron Reinhardt on vocals,
okay. Cool.
which was cool. And then these guys, which might as well just show them now. It's perfect timing. Death were on that same bill. They all kind of work together sound-wise, but they're all kind of different. These guys were kind of hyper upbeat thrash metal, the Exodus style, Sousa kind of stuff going on with the vocals, whereas Death were Death. I mean,
That was the beginnings of that whole
death metal thing, and it was very, very grim and gruff and still fast, still aggressive, but Czech didn't have the Cookie Monster vocals yet. None of them really did until like even Napalm Death at first didn't really have it. It was more of a, I don't know, not a pig squeal, but it wasn't what became of like every band having to have the same Cookie
Well, I
Monster
mean,
style
once you
vocals.
get into those super extreme styles, there's a lot less room for the subtleties that make up characteristics,
especially in vocals, because you can only do so much with it. But but it was cool.
It's the
at
same
first.
thing though with the operatic singers, because they all tended to sound.
They started
like
sounding the
Jeff
same.
Tate.
Yeah.
Like, that's weird.
Yeah. This is actually a reissue. Really, really well done reissue on Relapse.
I always hate it when I get leprosy.
Yeah. But pop 2 songs on here that are really, really well known by them, which is Pull the Plug and Open Casket, and then of course Choke on It. That's another one. If you know Death, you know what this sounds like. I'd say it's thrash. It's extreme thrash, or the beginnings of death metal, but it's it's not 6 Feet Under or Mortification or Carcass or those. It's a little more refined than that, a little more thrash-like, in my opinion, but still raw. It's, later on, Death would get really techy and technical, but this is a little more raw than that. This was their second album, I believe. I'd replica cover, of course. You have to have an replica cover, or you're not a real metal band.
No, no, of course not.
death. And that, again, that one could have been probably my top 10, but yeah, go ahead and do another one. You got.
I only got 2 left in this preliminary pile. But. All right, yeah. When I was in DT seizure.